What's good everyone, OJ here, welcome back to another video. Today we've got some awesome information for you guys in addition to a pretty much confirmation of a major franchise coming back to the Nintendo Switch with an all new installment with the announcement of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles on the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. So we're going to get into that first. Then we're going to get into some news about Tales of Arise as well. Bandai Namco, don't kill me on this one. I'm just trying to talk about the game. But anyway, let's go ahead and start off first with the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So Capcom has officially announced this game we already knew about, and I've already covered it a number of times, but that was from the Capcom leak, which we'll get to in just a bit. But yes, Capcom has officially announced the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles for the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC via Steam. Now, it will launch digitally on July 27th in the West for $39.99 and July 29th in Japan for 4,990 yen. So it's coming out here first in the West, then in Japan, but these games originally came out already in Japan before for the Nintendo 3DS. So a physical edition will be available for both the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch in Japan and Asia, as well as for the Nintendo Switch in North America. So PlayStation 4 owners, if you want to get a physical edition of the game, you're going to have to import, and it might or might not have the translations on there. Usually the Asian versions do, so you might be able to get that, but Switch owners are pretty much guaranteed to get that physical edition. So it looks like everything's set for Nintendo Switch, at least on that. Now, there is a Turnabout collection that will also be available for $59.99 in the West and 6,990 yen in Japan, which includes both the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles and the previously released Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy, as well as art and music bonus from the vaults. The PlayStation 4 and Switch versions will be available both physically and digitally in Japan, as well as for the Nintendo Switch in Asia, while the collection will only be available digitally everywhere else. So it's a little bit of a on that one, but at the same time, we still get an option for physical for the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And then, of course, if you want the trilogy of the games, you can get it digitally on there, or you can import if you want to. Now, these games, once again, were originally back on Nintendo 3DS. They were never localized. And the cool thing about this is that it actually features one of the ancestors of Ace Attorney, you know, Phoenix Wright, which is also really cool. But the dope thing about this too is that there's also Sherlock Holmes. So you go back in time. So you're like the crime-solving greatest duo of all time, you know, like the made-up Capcom duo, Sherlock Holmes and also the Great Ace Attorney. So this is actually really cool. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Ace Attorney, but I've always loved the art. I love the story. I love like the animations. I think that Ace Attorney is just a dope franchise. I've actually watched people play through all of it on Twitch and everything, and it's something that I want to get into. Now, I have played Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, and I thought that was cool, but I was just never compelled to sit there and read through a bunch of text and stuff like that. So I think I might check this one out just to try it out, but we'll see. I'm not exactly sure, but I know I'll definitely be watching people check it out on the Nintendo Switch. I've always been a fan of watching these type of games, or like Danganronpa. Now, of course, if you want all of the details, you guys can check it out. Link in the description below. There's more features and everything that you get within the game. But I do want to talk about this because this is pretty much right on track for a major game to be coming to the Nintendo Switch at this point. It's all but confirmed that a new entry into the Resident Evil franchise will be coming to the Nintendo Switch, where it's going to be on the new Switch-specific RE engine, and it's going to be a prioritized type of game on the Switch first. Now, that game is still going to come over to other platforms according to the Capcom leak. However, it's going to be prioritized on the Nintendo Switch, very similar to like a Resident Evil Revelations. That's what people have been kind of liking it to. Now, the thing about this, guys, is that it's not necessarily going to be Resident Evil Revelations 3. Some people have been giving it that moniker or that name. We just don't know yet. I guess the code name right now is like Outrage or something like that. So we'll see what it ultimately ends up being, but it should feature the traditional third-person type of Resident Evil Revelations or Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 4 type of combat. And once again, it is going to be optimized and prioritized for the Nintendo Switch first and foremost, and then will come to other platforms like PC and other places. Or it might be day and date, but they're really just kind of going in with the marketing on the Nintendo Switch, very similar to like a Monster Hunter Rise or like a Monster Hunter Stories 2. So I think that that is cool. And once again, this Great Ace Attorney, how it kind of confirms that is because this was leaked in the Capcom leak, right? So the Great Ace Attorney, we also had Ghosts and Goblins that was leaked. Everything that so far that was in there has pretty much happened in order, and I think Capcom's just kind of like, yeah, you got us on that, but you're still gonna buy it. I mean, maybe we can't surprise you, but it doesn't matter. The games are still coming and it's gonna sell well, and I think that's the big thing at the end of the day. So now we pretty much know for a fact at this point that there is going to be a new Resident Evil entry on the Nintendo Switch, and this might be based off of what we saw with Monster Hunter Rise and the style of game that they're going for with Resident Evil Revelations and what they've done before in the past on Nintendo hardware with Resident Evil, the remake on the GameCube, also Resident Evil Revelations on the Nintendo 3DS, the Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles games that were on the Wii. They have pulled out crazy stunts when it comes to the graphics of the game for the time period that they were released in. Resident Evil 4 was absolutely phenomenal. In my opinion, was the best looking game graphically in that generation, for me at least. So I do think that this game that comes out, based on how Monster Hunter Rise, how good that game looks compared to a lot of other third-party major type of games, expansive games, this could be the best looking game on the Nintendo Switch, with a little bit more of a closed off type of atmosphere that Resident Evil gives off, and what they're doing with the RE engine on here. It's pretty much a confirm that this game will be coming out for the Switch, and it's probably going to look absolutely phenomenal running on that modified RE engine for the platform based on what we've seen before. So I'm really looking forward to this game here, and I think that maybe E3 we could see it. Maybe Nintendo announces it with Capcom at E3. Of course, it's going to be after Resident Evil 8 and everything kind of gets done with that game. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they show off here, because Capcom is really hitting their stride on the Switch in 2021. So what are your thoughts on the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles and also Resident Evil, pretty much all but confirmed, coming to the Switch, a brand new entry here? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic, we've got some new information on Tales of Arise. We've got a brand new trailer that I will not be showing for you guys because Bandai Namco is Bandai Namco. I'll have a link in the description to where you can check that out. But we also have some confirmations on some new platforms. The PlayStation 5 and Xbox series of systems will be getting Tales of Arise, and we got a release date for September 10th. So awesome stuff there. This game is looking incredible. Plus, we've got details on gameplay, how you can experience and what type of modes you have in terms of performance. A lot of info being dropped here. So Tales of Arise will officially launch for the PlayStation 5, Xbox series of systems, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC via Steam on September 10th worldwide. Bandai Namco has announced the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox series versions are newly announced. In Japan, the console versions will be available a day earlier on September 9th. Now, the producer of the series did share a bunch of information on boost attacking and different types of enemies that you'll be able to attack and different characters and all sorts of stuff. But what we're going to do here is that we're actually going to talk about the versions of the game, so the development and kind of what went down there. So the development is going well so far, they said, and from this point only the final adjustments do remain. The producer is confident that there will be no future delays and the game will meet its September launch. So Tales of Arise also supports the DualSense wireless controller's haptic feedback functionality on the PlayStation 5. For example, you will feel the difference when using lightning magic versus fire magic, and that makes me want to buy the PlayStation 5 version instantly right now. Also, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions will include a free upgrade to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series versions. The game will support performance 60 frames per second and graphics 4K resolution priority modes. Plus, we also have some more information. I do want to talk about this at the very bottom because I think this is important too for the flow of the game. There is no victory screen after battle. Battles will begin immediately upon encountering an enemy, and if you win, you return to the field immediately. However, you can enjoy conversations between characters on the field post battle, and I love that. It almost reminds me of like Chrono Trigger or other action RPGs. Chrono Trigger is a turn-based RPG, but how Chrono Trigger, you would walk up, the battles would just start, and then the battles would finish. I mean, there was a little bit of a victory screen, but it was all seamless, and I think that's what they're trying to do with just a seamless type of battle system that a lot of modern action RPGs do implement to this day, whereas before, obviously, you had it with the old school RPGs. Bandai Namco, what they do is that you'd have like the screen, and then you see the experience. They're trying to get rid of that and make it flow seamlessly and bring it to a bigger audience. And I think this is exactly what they need to do to get Tales of Arise out there and make it more of a global type of game. But I'm excited for the game. I'm still excited. I think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I'm buying it day one, or I'll get a review code, but I'll probably be buying it so I can have a physical copy as well. Definitely getting that PlayStation 5 version of the game. That haptic feedback seems like it's going to be really fun to kind of get into that. I love when they do different things with magic and stuff like that. Octopath Traveler had great haptic feedback with the HD rumble with different types of magic and attacks and breaking your enemy. And I think that to me is actually really, really cool in games. So I'm down for them doing something like that with the magic and everything. They did also say that they want to provide users a chance to play the game ahead of release, but considering specifics, considering that there is the COVID pandemic that's still ongoing. So that's unfortunate. So we might not be able to get to play it before release, like at a hands-on event, or they might not have enough time for a demo or whatever the case is, but we'll see what they do. But either way, I'm excited for the game. So what are your thoughts on all this when it comes to big Resident Evil coming over to the Switch, all but confirmed now at this point, the Great Ace Attorney, and also Tales of Arise? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.